Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC, and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. I also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so I've got a bit of a fun one tonight for Sunday night, where we're going to be featuring a case that we haven't featured here before for one of these builds.
It's pretty cool,
actually. Yeah, so we're gonna.
Little.
It's a little tiny Corsair case, and I'm actually gonna hold it up so you guys can have a quick look at it. There's a glass panel on the top. So this is the Corsair 280X, I believe it's called.
I'm not sure. Don't look at me.
Don't look at you.
Where's the box?
Downstairs. So you can tell it's unscripted because I don't necessarily remember the case. Completely unscripted. Alrighty, who have we got joining us early? A couple of people are here. So Tapiri's here. Hey Tapiri, how you going? Alrighty. Happy Sunday. Yes, it is. It feels like a Thursday to me.
There's Crystal 280X.
Yeah, 280X. I was right. Yeah. See?
Crystal.
Yeah. Well, if you call it the Corsair 280X, you'll know which one it is. Anyway, let's get started here tonight. Let's go through our components here. So, starting at this end, we have the Ryzen 5600X 6-core 12-thread CPU. We're going to be putting it on this MSI Mag B550M Mortar Wi-Fi motherboard. So we'll have a look at this motherboard when we unbox it. We've got an Aorus Elite RTX 3060 Ti for our graphics card here. So I'll put this one down to the side for now. We have 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance Pro, 3200 megahertz CL16 memory here. We've got a 1 terabyte WD Green SSD and a 500 gigabyte Crucial P1 NVMe SSD. We've got a Corsair iQ H100i Elite Capilex cooler. So this is one of the newer versions of Corsair AIO coolers. They look very, very, very nice. They're quite expensive, but yeah, the block has a couple of different mounts that you can put on the front of it there. So it's pretty cool. We'll have a look at that when we unbox it. We've also got some Corsair case fans here as well. Yeah, so we'll be installing them. And obviously up here we have a white Corsair power supply. So it's going to be all nice and white at the back of this case. And even though we don't have cable extenders, all of the cables that come out of this power supply are white.
Oh, no way.
So you don't have to worry about any of that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get started here. Let's have a look at this motherboard. I'm excited because it's like the first different motherboard I've had in like the last 3 nights. We've done like the same motherboard multiple nights in a row. So it gets a bit boring. Yeah. Hey Mark, how you going? Okay, so we get some SATA cables. We get our Wi-Fi antenna. Our MSI Go Faster badge. We get some books and a CD and all that stuff. Straight in the bin. See, I don't even need to keep documentation like that because I can look it all up online. I don't need a book. Okay, so around the front, we'll have a look at this motherboard.
this one.
Yes, this is a very nice motherboard. I like this one as well. Alrighty, so this is the MSI Mag B550M Mortar Wi-Fi motherboard. So let's go around the board and I'll point out all of the main features for you. So I've got an 8-pin CPU power connector up here. We have direct touch heat sinks on our MOSFET and VRM. What have we got there? Looks like 9 phases plus 2. We've got our AM4 socket there. We've got our CPU fan header here. We have dual channel memory, so 4 slots, 2 channels. Got a sneaky 5-volt RGB header here, just like on the other one there. In fact, you'll probably notice pretty quickly that this is just a better version of the other motherboard from the previous couple of nights. So
This looks nice.
it is. It's a nice board. So you can see that sneaky 5-volt RGB header there. We've got another couple of fan headers, and we've got the easy debug LED lights. So these, can the camera focus on that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you can see it says VGA, DRAM, CPU, and VGA. Oh no, sorry, no, and boot, sorry. Get that right, Tim. So we've got another fan header around here. We've got our 24-pin ATX power. We have USB-C, which unfortunately we don't have on this Corsair case. We have 4 horizontally orientated SATA ports and a horizontally orientated USB 3. We have 2 vertically orientated SATA ports down here. Then along the bottom here we have our front panel connection. We have our diagnostic speaker header here. We've got 2 USB 2s. We have, looks like, some voltage selection pins, chassis intrusion pins, a couple of other things down there. Doesn't look like we've got a COM port on this. We've got another 5-volt RGB header. We've got an LED switch. We have a fan header here. We've got a 12-volt RGB header, and we've got a front panel audio here for our speaker and microphone connection at the front of our case. So that brings us to the back here. So all of our audio is on this part of the motherboard, and around here obviously our audio outputs are as close as possible to all the other audio stuff on the board. We have Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1 here on the motherboard. That's still that same little card that gets slogged in there. You just can't see it because of the I/O shield back here. We have 4 USB 3.0s, 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. Got a PS2 port, 2 USB 2s. We've got a flash BIOS button, and we've got 2 display outputs. Neither of them will be in use for this build. And so that just brings us around at the front here to all the stuff in the middle. So we've got a trusted platform module header there. We've got 2 M2 slots here that run at the full X4 speed. Then we have a PCIe X16 slot here, 2 X1 slots, and we have this one here which is X16 length, but it's only connected X4 of the way along. So you hear me say that. So see inside the slot there, so you can see the little metal teeth in the light. You can see that they only go about 1/4 of the way along there. So that's what I'm talking about when I say it's X16 length, but it's only connected X4 of the way along. And that pretty much sums up all the main features of this motherboard. Obviously under here is where our B550 lives. Over here we have our CMOS battery and the clear CMOS header as well. So that is all of the main features of this motherboard. I think I need like a stand to hold it on, because it's so hard for me to like point at things and hold it steady.
You need one of those.
we'll come up with something to make that a bit better. Alright, let's get our CPU on the board. That's looking pretty straight. So we're just going to line up our little golden triangle, the triangle in the socket, and that will just fall into place. Then we can put the arm down there. So now we'll install this M2 drive. So just like last night, we'll install it in this bottom slot here, so we have access to this top one if we want to install another M2 SSD. Okay, so these just slot in on an angle here, just like that, and we just put one screw in, just like that. So we won't be installing our SATA SSD because they don't go on the motherboard, but we will be installing our memory. So this is our Corsair Vengeance Pro in white to go with our white theme here tonight. So we're going to be utilising slots 1 and slots 3. There we go. And so now we've got 3 things installed on our motherboard: our CPU, our memory, and our SSD. So now we can turn our attention to the cooler and getting that mounted on the motherboard there. So in this case, we will I do it on the front? No, we'll mount it to the top, I think.
Tim,
Yeah.
Brixie said on Twitch says, "Hi Tim, builds look great. I'll jump over to your website for prices tonight. Do you have 30 series GPUs and stuff?"
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we got all 30 series SKUs in stock. Not every single card, but like we got 3060, 3060 Ti, 3070, 3070 Ti, 3080, 3080 Ti, and 3090. So just no matter what you want, there is at least one card in stock. Probably the one that's probably the hardest is 3080 regular. There's probably only 2 or 3 of them available at the moment. But I'm sure I could find them at other retailers that I don't usually buy from. Okay, so we get, it's like a Corsair Commander Pro is thrown in with these. so we can use this if required. To say if required because this case should most probably have some sort of a controller. They usually do. If not, we've got one. So we've got the Threadripper bracket, we don't need that. We have the alternate front panel there for our cooler. We can also mount it various different orientations on the block, which gives us freedom to run these hoses whichever direction we want. What have we got here for AM4? So just a couple of brackets there, and we just have the tie down pieces. Okay, so we do have some thermal compound pre-applied to this cooler. We just need to take off one type of bracket and replace with another type of bracket. There we go. So that's all prepped and ready to go for AM4. Yep.
Crazy Aussie Gaming on Twitch says, hey, hey.
Hey, how you going? We don't need this. This is our Intel bracket, though I will keep that because it's good to have an extra bracket laying around. Oh, is it? Hey, thanks for joining us on Twitch. I wish Twitch had like a category for what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get way more views. So we just got these little clip things. I don't know how you describe them, sorry. Scry them. Okay. So that's all prepped and ready to go. So probably go like this, but I could also go like this.
Of course. There's storms, but we're going to miss out.
Oh, okay. Alright, so I'm thinking top mounted. It could be a bit tight with our memory, but let's cross that bridge. Does it mention, let me just check quickly. I'm just going to look this case up very, very quickly. Let's see if it actually recommends mounting it to the top or whether it does not recommend it. Because that'll tell me whether I'll have to go to extreme lengths to get it up there or not. Yeah, no. It specifies top mounted, so let's give it a go. Even though it is going to be very tight with our memory. Yeah.
Mark says we have more. Just try chatting.
Yeah, that might be the go. Alrighty. So,
Is the double pastry colour?
sure is.
So
What's up?
Mark says I do some stuff for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound too reassuring.
Sometimes these these little little retention bracket things can come out of alignment as you're tying them down. So there's a little bit of an art to doing it, and we want to make sure it's done right the first time. The last thing we want is the cooler coming off.
Oh, nice. Tim.
Yeah.
I'll just give you a shout out on my Twitter and Discord.
Ah, cool. Thanks, man. Alrighty, so we got our pump mounted to the motherboard there. What have we got here? That will have to go out the back.
Tim.
Yeah,
Mark says you're welcome.
thanks.
Very nice.
Very good. Well, we've got our board all prepped and our cooler installed. So we'll probably now turn our attention to this case. So
I
I've got
like the tinted glass, but that's going to absorb a lot of light, but it's so little.
it should still be pretty good, but we can add some RGB strips if we have to. It's got a these are flat screws.
Tim.
Yeah.
Me says surprise, surprise on here.
Hey Rodney, how you going, man?
Hey. Buddy's around somewhere.
Trying to get more food, probably.
Yeah. Oh, he hasn't like meowed at me yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, Mike wants to know, can he send you a pic of his cat? Yes. Unsolicited cat photos? Yes, please. Oh, jeebus.
Just pops off. I was like, why is this not coming off? Alright, I'll put it in this position. Then it's going to come off. Okay. Change back to a regular screwdriver. Actually, I might even just use this one.
Weird shaped cables. They're like not twisted. Look. Seems like I'm not interested.
What's weird?
No, it's just the way that they've made these cables. They look different.
Damn, these are long bolts.
They don't need to be that long.
Oh no. There we go.
The curly.
Oh, yeah, that's just
Yeah.
a twisted pair. Instead of it being like those thin 2 cable wires that go to the front panel connectors, instead of it being straight and connected with plastic, it's just individual lines twisted. The Corsair probably saved like 10 cents. So, you know, that was a win. The bean counters got in there and I was like,
Yeah, the bean counter was happy.
yeah, bean counters love that. If you're watching this and you're unfamiliar with what a bean counter is, just FYI, I know sometimes people don't know when they're listening to things like this. A bean counter is someone who works for a big company and their job is in finance and accounting, and all they do is go over the business's expenses and try to find ways of saving money. And they'll be like, right, you know, we can save 10 cents from every unit if you do this to cut costs. And these guys get paid just to do this for businesses. And so they're called bean counters because obviously they're looking through the finances of the business, trying to find any savings that they can, etc., etc. Okay, what do we get? Some very short cable ties, some bolts, an Allen key. Okay, so what are we going to do for our SSD? We'll probably mount it to this tray here and get that out of the way first. So for SATA SSDs, you really only need to, you could even get away with just putting one bolt in. They don't have any moving parts, so it's not as important as like a hard drive, making sure that it's all properly secured. You've just got an SSD, I mean, like I sort of tell people, if you want to just do a thorough job, make sure it's well secured, even just 2 is fine. I always use 4. I always do 4 just because I'm selling the PCs. But if I was just doing it at home, on my own, I'd just do the 2 because no moving parts, and once you get 2 bolts in, it's not going anywhere. Alright, so our hard drive tray here just inserts at the back here. We just make sure that our power and data is going inside the case so we can route those cables. And there we go. And we can see our little SSD through the window there. Look at that. Alright, let's get started with the power supply. Like I said, with these power supplies here, they do come with modular white cables. So if you're looking for a way to save a little bit of money on your build,
Tim,
yeah.
that was a handsome cat.
Hey, it's another buddy.
Very nice looking cat. He looks like Buddy.
Yeah, he's seen Buddy and he's just like, ah, cat. What's his name? Meow. Or Mewo. Can't read it properly from here. Okay, so we're going to need this one here. This is our Atx Power for our motherboard.
Tim,
Yep.
Mick says hi to Chris.
Hey Mick, how you going?
Hey.
Good to have you with us. Just doing this Corsair 280X build. We haven't done one of these on the channel, so a bit of something different. Okay. So we have our CPU power connector. We need to plug that one in. That's a definite. We only need the one. PCIe, we're definitely going to need some PCIe power. We'll probably plug in 2 of them. I believe we need 2 for this particular card. That's another CPU, won't need that one. That is okay, so we've got an addressable RGB cable. But we're not really going to see that power supply. So look, we'll install the addressable RGB cable, but it's probably not really going to be used. We didn't really buy this power supply because it had RGB on it. It was more to get the white cables. But we can slot that in nonetheless. We'll need one SATA cable. And this other PCIe power cable. And then we've got these leftover ones. So the leftover ones, we can hide them out the back here. So we're just going to slot them in to this spare tray. And then if Daniel ever needs extra power for whatever, needs extra cables, he's got them there. There we go. So now we can get our power supply in the case. So we have to mount it with the fan out this way because of how this case is designed. What have we got out here? We've got it's mainly black bolts, so we'll stick with the black bolts. That's fine. We could do silver, but then we'd have to replace a heap of other bolts as well. And there's still going to be black on the power supply, so we may as well stick with it. Alrighty. So there we go, we've got our power supply in the case, we've got our SSD installed there in the case. Let's get these other cables out the back and out of the way. There we go. So now we've got some fans to get in the case. So we've got our radiator to mount to the top, but we've got these other fans that we're going to put on as well. Okay, so we're going to want our fans drawing in cool air from the bottom here. So they will be lying down. Yep, that's essentially the position they'll be in. Put a dust filter there, we'll remove that. you got there? Alright, these fans on. There we go. Now we'll get these ones on the front. Oh man, I got the wrong fan. I got the wrong fan. Let's just put this one in here for tonight and we'll swap it out tomorrow. Corsair have two fans that are like very, very similar. One's called, I think it's the LL, and one's called the QL.
Oh.
Yeah, and they look pretty much the same. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. It's not a big deal. Well, because I'm going to be removing it, I'm only going to put 2 bolts in it. Damn, I opened it. You want a free QL 120, babe?
Sure. Won't say no.
Okay. So we can put the front panel back on. You notice the very slight differences between those 2 fans. You can probably see the different sticker in the middle, but there's some very slight differences. But they look very similar. Okay, so what do we get here? That's... Oh, okay. They give you a 3-pin controller as well for strips that you might want to power. If you have Corsair strips, then we've got a 4-pin Corsair hub. Okay, and what have we got on this? We've got a total of 6. So we are going to need 1. Oh no. Yeah, no, that will be powered on its own. No, we're fine with just the included hub that we got with the cooler. We don't need these other ones. That's good. That simplifies your life a bit. Okay, as for where we will mount our hub, I reckon I'll keep it loose for now. Okay, so this hub has Corsair 4-pin and PWM 4-pin on the other side. So Corsair RGB and regular fan, 6 of each. Are we doing this the right way? Yep. one quirk of a lot of Corsair controllers is you have to go in the correct order of numbers. So if you've got port 1, you've got to start with port 1. Okay, and we've got 2 more for our last 2 fans. Alrighty. So we might get our motherboard in the case now, I reckon. We've got 1 offset to move. Okay. Okay, so we've got 1 bolt there installed. So now we'll deal with all this other stuff that's going to be plugged in at the top of our case. Get that out of the way first. Get them installed there. We'll plug one of these fans into the CPU fan header there. And All our RGB's Corsair, so that'll plug in. Oh, might have to remove those two bottom fans. Get everything plugged in at the bottom there. It's going to be a bit tight, I think, but I don't think we're going to have any issues at the top there with clearance. So. Alrighty. Oh, I got it. Who's that? Kobe's asked, what's the best case that I recommend? Well, it sort of depends on your exact criteria as to what you're looking for in a case. I mean, I know heaps of good cases that I'd recommend, but I'd recommend different ones to different people for different reasons. So, I'm pretty impartial to the Antec D600 Flux as a good value and performance case. Obviously the Lian Li Dynamic 11's a great case if you want a showpiece case. But yeah, it all depends what you want, man. Yep, that'll be good. Yeah.
Okay, this says he's got the Leone.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's an excellent case. In terms of performance and stuff like that, you've got really good airflow, etc. Yeah.
Russell on YouTube says my dog builds every single night. You're rocking it.
Yeah, try to keep up. Getting a bit tired. Have the day off eventually. Eventually. No, I can't complain. There we go. It's all sort of coming together now. So now we've got one more fan to plug into our controller.
The only thing I can say about this case is they could have made like the grommets and the back thing grey.
Yeah, that's like the Leon Lee Mini Snow. Okay, so unfortunately I'm going to have to unscrew those bottom fans because I'm going to need to unscrew probably both of them. It's going to make my life a lot easier. See the bottom?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So let's get this tilted over and let's undo the screws. At least they'll be easier to screw back in. Okay. So now we've actually got some room to do all this. Okay, so we've got all them down there.
You just made extra work for yourself.
Huh?
Just made extra work for yourself.
What do you mean?
Having to undo the fans and then put them back in again.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so we've got front panel audio. USB for our Corsair controller, and we have reset switch and just power LED and power switch. No HD LED. Nope. Well, some people would like that. No blinking light on the case. Alrighty, we're nearly at graphics card installation time. Okay. There we go. Sweet as. You hurting him?
Brushing his tail.
Yeah, he hates that. I don't know why. Just doesn't like it, eh?
Gentle.
Yeah.
Hates it. Oh. Do you want mats in your tail? It's the way you're acting. I think you do.
Okay, so we've got SATA power to connect. We've got our USB 3. And so that can just come up here. Just like that. We will need a SATA cable. So plug that in there. And so now we just have our main power for our motherboard. And how will we run that? We're going to run that. Okay, just going to route that like that. So we'll plug in our RGB controller. Plug in SATA power to our SSD. And we have this one addressable cable for the power supply fan, which I forgot about. Here we go. couldn't just go one night without plugging these in. Excellent. Tying down a couple of the bigger cables here. Okay, we've got that to go into our hard drive, and we've just got these two PCIe cables. All tangled up. There we go. So now we're just left with our PCIe power cables and our graphics card. Okay, so no sticky there, just a little bit sticky on the fans, I think.
It's sticky on the fans.
Not always.
No?
Sometimes they forget. Nothing on the back there. That's all good. I'll chuck a couple of these plugs in the motherboard because they won't be in use. Alright, that's fine. So we're going to be utilising the first and second slot here. Looks like we have a little side panel there. Okay, so now we've just got a couple of power cables to put in. So,
The graphics card almost looks too big.
yeah, I know, but it's going to be fine.
I know that. It's just, yeah, really big card.
Normally you wouldn't be able to have a graphics card that close to the bottom of the case, but because we've got two fans blowing cool air in on the bottom of it, it's not going to be a problem. There we go. So we can start putting a bit of this glass and stuff back on. Got these really long bolts at the top here. Luckily I don't have to change anything at the top. I do have that fan to swap out tomorrow. Alright. Oh, what am I dropping? No. Longest bolts ever. Sweet as. Don't worry about that cable that's loose there. That's because I'm going to be swapping that fan out. Alright. We have one little rig there. All ready to go. Yep, just got the two panels. Actually, there's another dust filter. Where does that go? It goes on the front, I think. I think I'll have to put that one on. Oh no. Yeah, just put that off again. Nothing's connected. There we go. I don't know. I reckon it's going to be too dark with that dust filter on there. I reckon we'll probably remove that. Let's see. But see, I got bad experiences removing dust filters. People complain. Even when there's like a perfectly rational reason to pull it out. Like, according to the spec list, I should have a dust filter. It's like,
dust filter, so I should have it.
Is there a USB under there?
Yes.
Jeez. That's what I want. Okay. Do you want to do the honors? Okay. Okay, we can activate XMP profile. Okay.
Tim,
Yeah. Cubicle. Very nice cubicle case. I can't quite read it. Cuboidal. Basically means the same thing. Okay.
camera makes the CPU look like right. That makes it a bit better, but put it on, put it on, put it on. It's really glary. So bright. It actually kind of needs that. You bright.
Not really.
It's on the hand.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Now we're all good. Australia. Oh, no. I can't remember where we're shipping to.
I really think you should take that dust filter off the front.
Yeah, I will. But I've got to change the fan, so. So even though this case doesn't have USB-C, it's got USB-C around the back, so that's something. Put down some custom desktop icons so we don't make a mess. Okay, we've got a WD hard drive. Got an NVIDIA card. Yeah,
Mr. Walsh uses what case Corsair socket?
it's a Corsair
Crystal.
280X crystal.
Yes.
So we need Corsair IQ for this, because all our lighting's Corsair. Huh?
The light in the front, fan doesn't look
No, because they're two different fans, remember?
Yeah, but the one on the bottom looks like it's just lit up on one side. Come on here. See, there's that side on the ring. So,
Doesn't do it up there either.
yeah, but that one does. The bottom one does. That's what I'm saying. Is it?
It's fine with me. Look at them now. So now I got Corsair IQ installed.
It was something.
Yeah.
I see. I get it. There was something wrong with the sync, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like staring at it. Why is ready?
Yeah.
Alright, let's set up our SSD.
Mm.
Alright. Let that restart and install. Alrighty, let's look. It's back into Windows now. Okay, let's turn off all that annoying shit that opens up automatically. Sure, we can decide what things we want to open up when we use our computer. Yep, they're fine. See you later, Alex. Have a good one, man. Nope, all good. Oh. Alright, so we're going to go to flash mode. Update that BIOS. There we go. So that'll go and do its thing. Okay, BIOS update's done. We can finish this one off. Okay. There's usually a couple of security updates. No, they've all been installed. Sweet as. Got our Ryzen 5600X, our motherboard, our B550M Mortar Wi-Fi, our 3060 Ti, reason I'm running it a few times here is because there's background processes that are affecting the score here. This is what I'm expecting to see. While we have a look at that, we'll start testing our SSD, see how fast that is. So here we are. There's our 5600X, at the top of the pile. So this is single threaded performance, so you can think of this as your gaming performance. Over here, multi-thread. You can see, once again, top of the wash, like for like comparison. Where was that?
In your bedside table.
What? We just found a Bluetooth speaker we'd been looking for ages.
Leave that out here.
Here's our WD green SSD, and here's our Crucial P1. Oh, so as you can see here, they're brand new drives. And here's mine. And here's our SSD speed, so nice and fast, 7.5 gigabytes a second. Sweet as. And we can compare those sort of speeds to our SATA SSD and do the same thing. And while we do that, we might run a benchmark. So we'll do Heaven out of the box here on high. And this number here below RAM is the frames per second that it's running at. Okay, that looks like the end of heaven. A little bit warm there. The graphics card's okay. don't have hardware monitor. No, what's going on? What's up? Yeah, okay. So that cable must have just slightly come unplugged there for the pump, and that's why we're seeing some slightly warmer temperatures. Alright, so there's our SSD speeds for our SATA SSD. So they're about 500 megabytes a second really. Alright, let's get on with it. Run this one on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. Okay. And the final one we do is our 4K benchmark. It's also DirectX 12, the other two have been DirectX 11. Alrighty. Looking good. Alrighty, so we're at the end of the night now. This is the time. If you've got any other final questions for me before I sign off, now's your time to speak. Alrighty. So I'll just let this run for 90 minutes while I log the temperatures. And if all's well, it's ready to be picked up once I swap a fan. Alright, I think we're probably all good to sign off now, I reckon. Yep. Alright everyone, so thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.